Integrity. What does it mean to you? I'll never forget, I was in the 4th or 5th grade and I overheard a teacher use the word integrity, and I never heard it before up to that point. And so I asked her, I said, hey, what does integrity mean? And what she said, I'll never forget. She said, integrity is making the right choice, especially when nobody is looking. And that's kind of always stuck with me. And I remember that same day, I was the last person in the cafeteria, and there was a milk carton that was just laying on the floor, and there was nobody around. And I remember what my teacher said, and I picked up the milk carton. And for most of us right now, due to our current circumstances, we're living very similarly. There's nobody looking at us. I think we're used to doing things in a way that requires quite a bit of external motivation, right? So, we do our classwork knowing that our teacher's watching, or we work out really hard with our team because we know that our coaches are watching, or we just do certain things because we know that people are watching and we want to perform for people. We want to show people our best side of whatever it is that we're doing. We get to a point where we forget that the things we're doing are meant to help us. And so I want to share a story out of the same book that I referenced in a previous video. The book's called Chop Wood, Carry Water, and this is a much earlier chapter. And in case you hadn't watched the previous video, in this book it's about a man who is trying to become a samurai archer, and he has a sensei named Akira. And so Akira teaches John various lessons through short stories, similar to how Jesus does with his parables. And so this story had a carpenter in it named Koda. And so Koda was a famous carpenter. He was great at his job. He'd been building houses for over 30 years, and he was ready to retire and spend some time with his grandchildren. And so he went to put his 2 weeks notice in with his boss, and his boss requested that he build one more house. And so after 30 years of hard labor, Koda had really taken a lot of time and thought and energy into this decision, and so he's pretty frustrated at the extra request. And so even though he was frustrated, he was still his boss, so he decided to do what his boss asked him to do. He went through with building the house anyway. And so in the past, what made Koda great is that he was very hands-on, right? He was directly involved in the process. He made sure he bought the best materials, and he paid very close attention to every detail of the house. But this house was a little bit different for Koda, specifically because he was ready to be done. He looked at this house more as an obligation, not so much an opportunity. Because of this, the house really lacked that wow factor that Koda had always been known for. And so months later, he finishes the house, and he asks his boss for his blessing to retire once more. His boss responded by saying this: "Thank you, Koda, but we just have one more thing." And so Koda begins to get really upset because he thinks he's going to be asked to build another house. And the boss reaches into his desk, he pulls out a small box with a ribbon on it and hands it to Koda and says, "We are so grateful for you, Koda. This house is a token of our appreciation. It is yours. You deserve it." And he hands him a key to the house. So immediately Koda's heart, it sinks. And he thinks to himself, if he had known that he had been building his own house, he would have cared so much more. He would have paid attention to every detail. He would have bought the finest materials. He would have done all the little things right. But now it was too late. And so Akira, the man telling the story to John in the book, turns to him and says, "The only thing truly significant about today is who you become in the process." Sometimes you think you were building for your school or your family or your company or your team, but you were always building your own house. I hope you build it wisely. And so you see, Koda lacked integrity, and it came back to bite him. He was trying to short other people, but really only ended up shorting himself. And so if you're an athlete and you're at home right now, you really have no accountability around you. You don't have any coaches, you don't have any teammates. It's just you in your living room or in your driveway or in your yard or in your basement, wherever it is. And if you choose to skip a workout today, nobody will know today. But they'll know in the weeks to come, in the months to come, and especially in the seasons to come. Those of you that are going into your senior year, this may be your last chance to play whatever sport it is that you love. It could be football, basketball, track. You only get one senior year. And right now, what you are doing is going to determine the outcome of that year for you. If you want to have a great year, then you'll be working really hard right now. But if it doesn't mean that much to you, no matter what your words say, if your actions show that you're not working out or you're not doing those necessary things, then it must not mean that much to you. And so those are the questions that you need to ask yourself. If you're a student, you could roll the dice right now and think, nah, maybe they won't take a grade for it. I don't know. And you could just choose not to do any work. But remember, you're not building for your teachers, and you're not building for your school, and you're not even building for your parents. You're building your own house. And it's not so much about doing the work to just satisfy the requirements of others, but more so about developing who you are as a person. And so when you're tempted to skip a workout or skip some classwork, ask yourself, who do you want to be? Do you want to be a person of integrity? Do you want to be a person who is known as reliable? Do you want to be a good friend? Do you want to be a solid spouse someday? Do you want to be a quality employee? The answer lies within the decisions that you make now. And remember, whether you're at home or whether you're at school, hard work pays off.